When my daughter told me she was taking everything I owned through a secret inheritance I knew nothing about, I collapsed right there on my kitchen floor. Days later, I was standing in court watching her laugh with her lawyer about making me homeless. That's when I realized the child I'd raised for 30 years was just a vulture in a family photo frame. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button and tell me what state you're from in the comments. Because trust me, this story has more twists than a tornado in a corkscrew factory. My name is Eleanor Marks. 3 months ago, I was living what I thought was a perfectly normal life. I ran a small antique store my late husband Richard had left me, lived in our cozy cottage at the edge of Mapleton, and looked forward to Sunday dinners with my daughter Sarah. Nothing extraordinary, but it was mine, and I was content. That all changed when a crisp, white envelope arrived on a Tuesday morning. The return address showed a law firm I'd never heard of. Blackwood, Peters and Associates. Inside was a letter that would tear my world apart. Dear Mrs. Marks, we regret to inform you that according to the last will and testament of Richard Marks, all properties and financial assets have been transferred to sole beneficiary Sarah Marks, effective immediately. I read it 3 times, convinced it was some kind of mistake. Richard had died 5 years ago. We'd gone through the will. I'd inherited the store and our home. There couldn't be another will. My hands shaking, I called Sarah. "Oh, you got the letter," she said, her voice oddly flat. "I was going to tell you." "Tell me what?" "Sarah, what is this?" There was a pause. "Dad left everything to me, Mom. The store, the house, everything. He signed a second will before he died." "That's impossible," I whispered. "Why would he do that? And why am I just hearing about this now?" "You have 30 days to vacate the property," she said, ignoring my questions. "My lawyer suggests you start packing immediately." The phone slipped from my hand. My own daughter. My Sarah. The little girl I'd nursed through chickenpox and heartbreaks was now telling me, without a hint of remorse, that I was about to lose everything. Script part separator equals. I needed answers. The next morning, I drove to Sarah's condo, the luxury high-rise downtown that I'd always wondered how she afforded on her marketing executive salary. Now I was starting to connect the dots. When she opened the door, I barely recognized her. Gone was any trace of the warm girl I'd raised. In her place stood a stranger with cold eyes. "You need to leave," she said, blocking the entrance. "Not until you explain." Richard and I had a will together. Everything was settled. Sarah smiled. Not the smile that used to light up my heart, but something cruel and unfamiliar. "Dad never trusted you with money, Mom. He knew you'd run his business into the ground." The words hit like physical blows. "That's not true. I've run that store successfully for 5 years. Barely breaking even," she scoffed. "Dad built that store from nothing. He wanted someone competent in charge. Since when did you care about antiques? You've never shown any interest in the store." "I care about what it's worth. The property alone is valued at over $500,000 now." I felt sick. "This isn't about the store. It's about money. It's about what's rightfully mine," she snapped. "Dad told me everything before he died. How you never appreciated what he built. How you just coasted through life while he did all the work." "That's a lie." My voice cracked. "Your father and I built our life together. Everything we had, we earned together. Save it for someone who cares." Sarah checked her watch. "I have a meeting. My lawyer will be contacting you about the timeline for vacating the property." As she closed the door in my face, I caught a glimpse of someone sitting on her sofa, a man in an expensive suit who looked vaguely familiar. I sat in my car and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. How had my daughter become this person? What had Richard told her to turn her against me? And who was that man? I drove straight to the only person who might help me make sense of this nightmare, Richard's former business partner and our family friend, Henry Wilson. If anyone knew about a secret will, it would be him. Script part separator equals. Henry's office was in the Old District, a beautiful brick building with his name on a gold plaque. We'd had Thanksgiving dinners together for years. He'd watched Sarah grow up. If anyone would be straight with me, it would be Henry. His secretary tried to turn me away. Mr. Wilson is in meetings all day, Mrs. Marks. Tell him it's about Richard's will, I insisted. He'll see me. 5 minutes later, I was sitting across from Henry. He'd aged since I'd last seen him, more gray hair, deeper lines around his eyes. Eleanor, what a surprise. His smile seemed forced. What can I do for you? Did you know? I asked, cutting to the chase. About Richard's second will? Henry's expression shifted, just slightly. Second will? Don't lie to me, Henry. I just got a letter saying everything Richard left me is actually Sarah's. Our home, the store, everything. He leaned back, his chair creaking. That's unfortunate timing. So you knew. The betrayal cut deep. How long? He sighed. Richard came to me about a year before he passed. He was concerned about the future. Concerned about what? That I'd somehow squander everything we'd built? Henry looked uncomfortable. He felt you lacked business acumen. He wanted to ensure his legacy. By cutting me out completely? After 30 years of marriage? I couldn't keep the anger from my voice. Eleanor, please understand. I was just his attorney in this matter. The words hit me like ice water. You drew up the will. He nodded. Legally it was sound. And morally? I asked. Was it moral to help my husband secretly disinherit me? He looked away. Business isn't about morality. I stood up, shaking. You're still helping her, aren't you? That man in Sarah's apartment, that was you. His expression confirmed it. Eleanor, I think it's best if you consult your own attorney. I'm being evicted from my own home in 30 days, Henry. The store I've run for 5 years is being taken from me. Where exactly am I supposed to get money for an attorney? He reached for his checkbook. Perhaps I could. Don't you dare offer me charity, I spat. Not when you helped orchestrate this whole thing. I walked out with my dignity, if nothing else. But as I reached my car, the reality of my situation hit me. I had 30 days before I would be homeless. The store that had been my life for the past 5 years would no longer be mine. And the two people I should have been able to trust most in this world, my husband and my daughter, had betrayed me completely. Script part separator . I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced with questions and half-formed plans. By dawn, I'd made a decision. I wouldn't go down without a fight. My first stop was Mapleton Community Bank. Martha Jenkins, the manager, had been a friend for 20 years. Eleanor, what's wrong? You look terrible. Her concerned eyes took in my disheveled appearance. Martha, I need to know about Richard's accounts. All of them. She frowned. You know I can't discuss. Please, I begged. Sarah's claiming there's a second will giving her everything. I'll be homeless in a month if I can't figure this out. Martha's expression changed. Wait here. She disappeared into her office, returning with a folder. I shouldn't show you this, but... She slid it across the desk. Richard opened several accounts before he died. Large transfers to offshore accounts. I scanned the documents, my hands trembling. Hundreds of thousands of dollars moved systematically in the months before Richard's death. Why would he hide this money? I whispered. Martha looked uncomfortable. There were rumors about Richard's business dealings. What rumors? That some of his antiques weren't exactly legitimate. The floor seemed to drop from under me. Richard, involved in something illegal? It couldn't be true. As I left the bank, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Marks? This is Detective Simmons. We need to discuss your husband's business. My heart stopped. Why now? After 5 years? New evidence has surfaced. I suggest you come to the station immediately. When I arrived, Detective Simmons wasn't alone. A woman in a crisp suit stood beside him. This is Agent Crawford, FBI Art Crimes Division. Agent Crawford didn't smile. Mrs. Marks, were you aware that your husband was trafficking in stolen antiquities? That's impossible, I stammered. She slid photographs across the table, items I recognized from our store, alongside documentation of their theft from museums across Europe. These items passed through your shop, she said. The statute of limitations hasn't expired. You could be facing charges. I knew nothing about this. I insisted, panic rising. My husband handled acquisitions. Script part separator equals. Detective Simmons leaned forward. We're not here to charge you, Mrs. Marks. We're interested in who your husband was working with. My mind flashed to Henry, to the mysterious transfers, to Sarah's sudden wealth. I think my daughter and my husband's business partner might know more than I do, I said slowly. Henry Wilson handled all Richard's legal matters. And my daughter Sarah seems to have been privy to information I never had. Agent Crawford exchanged glances with Detective Simmons. We've been watching Mr. Wilson for some time, she admitted. But we need evidence connecting him directly to the operation. I have nothing, I said helplessly. Maybe not yet, Detective Simmons said. But if Wilson and your daughter are attempting to claim ownership of potentially illegal assets, a glimmer of hope sparked within me. So, if I fight this will, we'd be very interested in what might surface, Agent Crawford finished. They gave me their cards as I left, my head spinning. On one hand, I was horrified to learn that Richard might have been involved in criminal activity. On the other, it gave me leverage I desperately needed. That night, I received a formal eviction notice. Sarah wasn't wasting any time. I had exactly 28 days to vacate my home. The next morning, I visited every law firm in Mapleton. Most wouldn't even speak to me without a substantial retainer. By afternoon, I was desperate. My last stop was a small office above the hardware store. The sign read, Margaret Chen, attorney at law. The woman who greeted me looked barely old enough to be out of law school. Call me Maggie, she said, gesturing to a chair. Tell me what's going on. I poured out my story. The secret will, Sarah's betrayal, Henry's involvement, and the FBI's interest in stolen antiquities. When I finished, Maggie was quiet for a long moment. Most lawyers would tell you this is hopeless, she said finally. You're up against money, power, and a legally executed will. My heart sank. But, she continued, a smile spreading across her face, I'm not most lawyers. And I hate bullies. I can't pay you, I admitted. Not yet anyway. Let's work on contingency, she said. If we win, I get paid. If we don't, she shrugged. At least we'll give them hell trying. For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. Script part separator equals. Maggie wasted no time. That same afternoon, we filed an emergency injunction to halt the eviction and any transfer of business assets. This buys us 2 weeks, she explained. Now, we investigate. We need to find out why Richard changed his will, who influenced him, and what exactly is happening with these antiquities. The next day, I opened the store as usual, but with new purpose. Every sales record, every inventory list suddenly held potential clues. I started photographing everything, documentation, receipts, the items themselves. A customer I'd known for years, Professor Jenkins from the local college, noticed my unusual activity. Spring cleaning? He asked. I hesitated, then made a decision. Thomas, you're an art history expert. Have you ever suspected any of our pieces weren't legitimate? His expression changed instantly. Eleanor, what's going on? I told him everything. When I finished, he looked grave. I had suspicions about certain pieces Richard acquired. The provenance documentation seemed convenient. Could you help me identify which ones? I'll do better than that, he said. I'll document everything suspicious and testify if needed. That evening, as I was closing up, Sarah appeared at the door. What do you think you're doing? She demanded, waving papers at me. An injunction? You're just delaying the inevitable. Why are you doing this? I asked, my voice breaking. What happened to you? You happened to me, she spat. Always the victim. Always so naive. Dad told me everything. How you turned a blind eye to his business because you didn't want to know where the money came from. That's not true. Save it. You have 2 weeks. Then you're out. She turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and the FBI visited me today. Interesting timing. Did you really think sicking federal agents on me would work? After she left, I called Maggie immediately. They know we're working with the FBI, I said, panicking. Good, Maggie replied, surprising me. Let them worry. Scared people make mistakes. The next morning, I found my store door unlocked. Inside, several display cases were empty. The very items Thomas had identified as suspicious were gone. They're covering their tracks, Maggie said when I called her. This is good for us. How is theft good? Because now we have proof of consciousness of guilt. And she paused dramatically. I had the store under surveillance last night. Guess who we have on camera removing those items? My heart raced. Who? Henry Wilson himself. And he wasn't alone. Script part separator ===. Sarah was with him, wasn't she? I whispered. Not Sarah, Maggie replied. A man named Victor Renault. He's a known fence for stolen art in 3 countries. My legs gave out, and I sank onto a stool. This is bigger than I thought. Much bigger. And that's our advantage. Maggie sounded energized. The FBI is very interested in our surveillance footage. They're executing a search warrant on Wilson's office as we speak. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak made me jump. If Henry and his associates were willing to break into my store, what else might they do? Around 2 a.m., my phone rang. Mrs. Marks? Detective Simmons's voice was urgent. Is your daughter with you?
No. Why?
We've been trying to reach her. Henry Wilson was found dead an hour ago in his office.
Apparent suicide.
I gasped. That's impossible. There was a note implicating himself in the antiquities scheme, Simmons continued. Very convenient. Too convenient. You think he was murdered, I whispered. We think someone's tying up loose ends. Until we know more, you should be careful. The next morning, the local paper's headline screamed, Prominent attorney dies by suicide, stolen art ring exposed. I was locking the store's door when a black SUV screeched to a halt beside me. Sarah jumped out, her face ashen. What have you done? She screamed, shoving the newspaper in my face. I didn't do anything, I said calmly. Henry made his choices. He's dead because of you. She was shaking. They'll come for me next. Who, Sarah?
Who will come for you?
Her eyes darted around frantically. You don't understand what you're involved in. Dad wasn't just selling a few fake antiques. He was laundering money for people you don't want to know. Then help me understand, I pleaded. Before anyone else gets hurt. Script part separator ===. For a moment, I saw fear crack through Sarah's facade. She looked young again. Vulnerable, like the little girl who'd come to me with scraped knees and broken toys. I can't, she whispered. They'll kill me too. Who are these people, Sarah? What have you gotten yourself into? She shook her head, already retreating. Just drop the lawsuit. Take whatever money they offer you. Walk away while you still can. Before I could stop her, she was back in the SUV, speeding away. I called Maggie immediately. Your daughter reached out? She asked when I told her about Sarah's visit. That's significant. She's scared. Of what? Who are these people Richard was working with? I've been doing some digging, Maggie said. Your husband's antique business was perfect for money laundering. The Renault connection is especially concerning. He's rumored to have ties to organized crime in Eastern Europe. My blood ran cold. And Sarah's caught in the middle of this? More than caught in it. According to bank records I've obtained, she's been receiving regular payments for the past 3 years, including while your husband was still alive. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. She was working with them before Richard died. It appears so. And now with Wilson dead, she's exposed. That night, I double-checked every lock in my house. As I was about to turn off the lights, I noticed headlights slowing in front of my home. A dark sedan parked across the street. I ducked away from the window, heart pounding. Someone was watching my house. Script part separator ===. I waited in the darkness, phone in hand, Detective Simmons' number ready to dial. The sedan remained parked for nearly an hour before finally driving away. Sleep was impossible after that. Every shadow seemed menacing, every creak a potential intruder. At dawn, I called Maggie. Someone was watching my house last night, I told her. Pack a bag, she said immediately. You're not staying there anymore. 3 hours later, I was settling into Maggie's spare bedroom. Her apartment was a fortress, doorman building, security cameras, triple locks. We have the court date set, she informed me over coffee. 1 week from today. But there's something else. She slid a folder across the table. Inside were photos of Sarah meeting with various men I didn't recognize. Your daughter's been busy, Maggie said. That's Victor Renault. She pointed to a severe-looking man. And that's Dmitry Volkov, suspected of running one of the largest art theft rings in Europe. What does this mean for Sarah? I asked, my heart breaking despite everything. It means she's in deep, Maggie replied. But it also means we have leverage. That afternoon, Agent Crawford visited us at Maggie's apartment. We've frozen several accounts connected to the operation, she informed us, including one in your daughter's name containing over $3 million. I gasped. $3 million? Blood money, Crawford said bluntly. From trafficking cultural artifacts stolen from war zones. Did you know your husband made frequent trips to Syria and Iraq during the height of the conflicts there? I shook my head, feeling sick. I thought they were buying trips for the store. They were, Crawford said grimly. Just not the kind you imagined. Later that evening, my phone rang. Sarah. They've frozen my accounts, she said, her voice shaking. I need money. Come to the authorities, I pleaded. Tell them everything you know.
You don't understand, she hissed.
These people don't play games. They've already killed Henry. Then let the FBI protect you. There was a long pause. It's too late for that, she finally said. Just know that whatever happens in court next week, I didn't have a choice. Before I could respond, she hung up. Script part separator . The next morning, Detective Simmons called with news that chilled me to the bone. We found an unidentified male body in Henry Wilson's car, he said. Shot execution style. We believe it's Victor Renault, but we're waiting on formal identification. Things are escalating, I whispered. There's more. Your daughter's apartment was ransacked. She's missing. I nearly dropped the phone. Missing? Since when? Neighbors heard a disturbance last night. By the time officers responded, the place was torn apart and she was gone. For all her betrayal, Sarah was still my daughter. The thought of her in danger made my heart constrict painfully. Later that day, I received a text from an unknown number. 5 million or you'll never see her again. I showed Maggie and Agent Crawford. It's a setup, Crawford said immediately. Your daughter isn't kidnapped. She's running a con to get emergency access to the frozen assets. How can you be sure? I asked. Crawford showed me surveillance photos taken that morning. Sarah checking into a hotel under a false name, very much alive and unharmed. She's getting desperate, Maggie observed. The court date is in 5 days. Once that happens, everything comes out in public record. That night, I made a decision. I texted back. I'll bring proof. I've withdrawn the lawsuit to the antique store tomorrow at noon.
Come alone.
Maggie was horrified. What are you doing? Setting a trap, I replied. It's time to end this. Script part separator . The following morning, I prepared to face my daughter. The FBI had wired me and positioned agents throughout the store and surrounding buildings. Maggie had tried to talk me out of it one last time. This is dangerous, Eleanor. These people don't mess around. She's my daughter, I replied simply. Whatever she's done, she's still my child. At precisely noon, the bell above the door jingled. Sarah walked in, looking nothing like the polished executive I'd known. Her eyes were hollow, her designer clothes rumpled. Do you have the paperwork? She demanded without greeting. First tell me why, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Why did you do this to me? She laughed bitterly. You want the truth? Dad started this years ago, smuggling artifacts through the store. When I found out in college, he offered me a choice. Join him or be cut out completely.
You could have come to me.
And what would you have done? Called the police on him? On us? She shook her head. You were always so naive, Mom. There was money to be made. Real money. And now Henry's dead. And Renault. Fear flashed across her face. I had nothing to do with that. Then who did? Volkov, she whispered. He's cleaning house. I'm next if I don't deliver the money. I took a step closer. There is no money, Sarah. The accounts are frozen. The FBI knows everything. Her eyes widened. You're wearing a wire.
Turn yourself in.
Tell them everything you know about Volkov. They can protect you. For a moment, I saw uncertainty in her eyes. Then the door burst open. A man I recognized from the surveillance photos as Dmitry Volkov stood there, gun raised. Nobody is telling anyone anything, he said coldly. Script part separator equals. The FBI had warned me about this possibility, but nothing prepares you for staring down the barrel of a gun. Sarah moved between us. Dmitry, this wasn't the plan. Plans change, he said flatly. You failed. Now we clean up. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. The FBI agents were supposed to be watching, but where were they? Mom, I'm sorry, Sarah whispered. I never thought it would go this far. Volkov sneered. Save your apologies. The FBI is listening to everything right now, aren't they? I remained silent, but my eyes must have given me away. That's what I thought. He gestured with the gun. Remove the wire. Both of you, phones on the counter. With trembling hands, I reached under my blouse and detached the small microphone. Sarah placed our phones beside the register. Now we're going to walk out of here calmly, Volkov instructed. Any signal to the FBI, and I shoot both of you. As we moved toward the door, I caught a glimpse of movement across the street. Agent Crawford was positioned in a window, watching. I needed to stall. The will is fake, isn't it? I said suddenly. Richard never wrote a second will. Sarah looked surprised. Mom, this isn't the time. No, let her talk, Volkov said, curious. What do you mean, fake? Richard would never cut me out completely. You forged it, didn't you? With Henry's help. Sarah's face confirmed it before she could speak. What does it matter now? It matters because you betrayed me for nothing, I said, my voice rising. The store, the house, none of it was worth this. Shut up, both of you, Volkov hissed, glancing nervously out the window. But it was too late. The distraction had worked. As we reached the door, the world exploded into motion. Script part separator equals. FBI agents swarmed from every direction. Volkov grabbed Sarah, pressing the gun to her temple. The next few seconds stretched into an eternity. Drop your weapon, Crawford shouted, her own gun trained on Volkov. I'll kill her, he threatened, backing toward the rear exit. Sarah's eyes met mine, filled with terror and something else. Regret? In that moment, she wasn't the cold betrayer who'd tried to steal my life. She was my little girl in danger. Please, I begged Volkov.
Take me instead.
Mom, don't, Sarah whispered. Volkov's grip tightened. Nobody moves or she dies. What happened next still plays in my nightmares. Sarah suddenly drove her elbow hard into Volkov's ribs. He staggered, the gun wavering. Agents rushed forward. A shot rang out. I screamed as Sarah crumpled to the floor. Blood spread. We asked that all property be immediately restored to her. When the judge ruled in my favor, I felt no triumph, only a profound sadness. I had won back my home and my store, but lost my daughter to greed and criminal conspiracy. As the courtroom emptied, I approached Sarah in her wheelchair, flanked by officers. I didn't do this to punish you, I said softly. I did it because the truth matters. She couldn't meet my eyes. I know, Mom. I deserve whatever comes next. I'll visit you, I promised. When you're ready to talk. 3 months later, I sat across from Sarah in the prison visiting room. She looked different, humbled, older somehow.
Why?
I finally asked the question that had haunted me. Why did you do it? She was quiet for a long moment.
Because it seemed easy.
Because I thought I deserved more. Because she hesitated. Because Dad made it seem normal. We talked for an hour, really talked perhaps for the first time in years. There were no easy reconciliations, no instant forgiveness. But there was truth, finally. As I left the prison that day, I realized something important. Sometimes justice doesn't feel like victory. Sometimes it just feels like the painful beginning of a much longer healing. The store is thriving now, legitimately. The house feels empty without family, but peaceful. And I've learned that the most dangerous betrayals aren't from strangers, but from those we never thought could hurt us. Some days, I still can't believe my daughter tried to steal my life from under me. But I'm no longer that woman who collapsed on her kitchen floor. I fought back. I survived. And somehow, that's enough.